Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hope Discovered podcast. My name is Bill. This episode is part of an annual effort to present the overall status of CommQuest Services by reviewing and analyzing numerous departments and categories of data within the agency. We are talking today with Elaine Russell Reolfi, the CEO of CommQuest. Elaine, welcome to the program.
Hello, Bill. Thanks for having me on this chilly morning.
Yes. Well, it's getting that time of year, isn't it? Let's start with a big picture point of view. Our year of impact. The number we have is 14,782 clients were served last year. Can you break that down and give it some context in terms of mental health, addiction recovery, and social support?
Sure. Well, first of all, that's quite a number. That's quite a number of people that we helped. But the fact is the number should be double that. So many people are reluctant to seek care for mental health and addiction because of the stigma associated with these diseases. And we see that across the community with a number of overdoses and deaths by suicide. And our team is working really hard in many directions to create a safe path to services for everyone who needs help. So while we're really proud of all of the people that we've helped, we want to help even more because the community needs that. But in terms of the people that we have helped, you mentioned our three pillars of care: mental health, addiction recovery, and social support. And I think of those as kind of our superpower because as a nonprofit organization, having those three pillars of care give us the ability to treat the whole person. So, for example, someone in active addiction might have experienced trauma in their life. And so providing mental health services to address the trauma will likely make the addiction recovery more sustainable. We also know that these diseases can take their toll on people's lives. And so, for example, our homeless services, hot meals, and employment readiness help people stabilize their lives as well. So I think of that as our superpower and our responsibility. But if you look at the numbers themselves, I think there's a few amazing statistics. First of all, our counselors saw 4,200 mental health clients and 2,800 addiction recovery clients last year. We helped 371 people with residential addiction recovery care. And we provided services in Starr County schools to nearly 1,000 kids. And when you look at our social services programs, we served, brace yourself, Bill, this is a big number, 21,335 hot meals at our Samaritan's table on Thursdays.
Wow, that's incredible.
And that is staffed almost completely by volunteers, such good people who every week provide the best meals possible. And if I stop in to say hello to them, they want to feed me too. Yeah. They're very good people.
Yes, absolutely. Our promise that we often say, or maybe slogan, for lack of a better term, is that hope happens here. This concept is implemented in terms of our vision, our mission, and our values. Can you briefly describe how these layers kind of fold together so that in the context of our interview today, and as we're shaping this, we can understand the framework that CommQuest is operating within?
Absolutely. It is absolutely our promise that hope happens here. For so many people that we help, there isn't a lot of hope for them out in the world. And we want to be that hope for them because that's the first step toward recovery. So you asked about our vision, mission, and values. Well, so first of all, our mission, you kind of captured it in your first question that you asked me because our mission is to provide collaborative care and advocacy for people through three pillars of service: mental health, addiction recovery, and social support. That's the very basics of what we do every day to help people. I get really excited, though, about our vision, which is sort of our bigger aspiration, because with those three pillars of care, we see all kinds of things in the community. It gives us a knowledge of what people in our community is facing, and I think it also gives us a responsibility. And so our vision is to build a safe and welcoming community in which people with social, emotional, and addiction issues survive and live their best lives. And I get really excited about that because so much of what we see is treatable. People just need to find the path to services, and we're going to be there to help them.
To implement this type of strategy, which is absolutely fantastic, of course, in my opinion, within CommQuest itself, We need to grow a team that is hope focused. Can you tell us how that part of the agency has progressed?
Sure. Well, first of all, when you talk about our promise, our vision, and our mission, it's not just something that guides us philosophically. It guides every decision we make. It guides our business planning, our processes, to make sure this is a sound organization. And sort of the third part of that is our values. And our values are, kind of how we roll, how we're going to treat each other and our clients. And those values are dignity of the individual, teamwork inside and out, sustainability, both clinically and operationally, and integrity to do the right thing in every situation. So when you talk about the team, we've got more than 300 dedicated people who are here for the mission. They provide services. They maintain our environment of care. They deal with the complicated insurance and Medicaid paperwork and every other function that a nonprofit organization needs. They're a great group of people. And I think in the last year, our focus has really been to stabilize the workforce. Anybody who's listening and working out in the world right now has probably seen all the workforce challenges that every industry is facing. And so we really put a lot of time and effort into reducing attrition of good employees by really engaging people in the future of the organization. The year has had a tremendous amount of change, yet more people have made the choice to stay even in this volatile job market. And I think the key to being hope-focused, as you said, is tackling tough issues head on. I've said from day one, and I've been here about a year and a half now, that my job isn't to make every decision, it's to make sure every decision gets made. And I think that's a powerful and positive way to engage people, to take on tough issues together. And it's really exciting when we start to see progress on that. I'd also say in terms of the team, we've reorganized our leadership team and flattened the organization a bit. And at all levels of the organization, we've just got some great talent, great people who choose to work in community behavioral health and are really dedicated to the mission. We just hired a new addiction medicine medical director in the summer of 2022, Dr. Ashley Martin, and she's really transforming our medical services. She's working closely with Dr. Michelle Heberling's counseling team and her new leadership in residential addiction recovery. And I just think that we've got a powerful group of people in place who are going to make sure that we're continuing to, have best practices which give people the greatest chance for recovery.
Sure. One of the most important roles of a nonprofit is raising awareness in the community as to what the needs are and how to address them. Working with community partners is often a key component of this strategy. Can you talk about some of the trauma-informed spaces that have been built with our community partners to provide an area where those we serve can thrive?
Sure. Well, first of all, one of our core values, as I mentioned, is teamwork, both inside and outside the organization. So we're looking for every opportunity to partner with other community resources to make the most of our limited resources in this community. But you asked specifically about our environment of care, and that's an effort that has me really excited. It's one of the priorities on our strategic plan to improve our facilities, to ensure they're safe and trauma sensitive, and really reflecting the dignity of the people that we care for. So we have a lot of buildings and a lot of old buildings. And so we kind of did an audit of what's going on all those spaces. And we not only did an audit of maintenance and, updating, but we brought in our experts on trauma-informed care to really make sure that those spaces reinforce the care of the people that we're treating. So we started off with an internal team of our experts who maybe don't know a whole lot about facilities, but they know everything about trauma-informed care. And then the Sisters of Charity gave us a grant to hire a local architecture firm to work with us to turn everything our experts know about trauma-informed care into a plan to update facilities over time. So every time we paint a wall, every time we buy a new piece of furniture, it's all heading, first of all, toward a uniform look and professional look, but also that it's with trauma sensitivity in mind. So, for example, there are certain colors that science tells us are calming. And we make sure now that every time we paint or make a choice on color, that we're doing something that's going to reinforce sort of the calming environment.
Wow.
We also got a little additional help from the Hoover Foundation as well. The Hoover Foundation, another great group of people who gave us a grant to work with another firm to look at our space and how we're using it to make sure that we're using every building we have and every space we have in the best way to serve clients. So those two projects are really exciting. And what they do is they allow us to slowly over time continue to improve the environment of care. And so it just becomes part of our daily practice. So I'm very excited about that project.
That's fascinating. The little nuances of things like the color of paint. People don't sometimes realize the amount of design and effort that goes into providing what we do. So that's absolutely fantastic.
Another aspect of that I found really interesting that I never really thought about was directional signage and knowing how to navigate through a building. That's also a really important part of bringing certainty and calm to clients and who may be dealing with very chaotic things in their lives. These are things that I kind of take for granted, but our experts are really clear. These are the points that help make a more trauma-sensitive environment.
I can certainly understand that because I've gone into the hospital sometimes for x-rays and I can't find where I'm supposed to go. And it just adds to the frustration and the anxiety and everything else. I certainly understand that. Another key aspect to sustainability of nonprofits is fundraising. It seems as though this past year was a good year, especially considering in the wake of the lockdowns and everything else that happened in the previous years. How would you describe the fundraising efforts of the past year?
Well, we have so many good people in this community, individuals, foundations, companies, and their generosity really makes the mission happen. As an organization, this is kind of a tough business that we're in. We treat some of the most vulnerable people. And while our clinical services, about 80% are under Medicaid reimbursement, many of our services rely on donations only to operate. And so we're doing everything we can to run efficiently to make the most of our resources. But the fact is we have to rely on the generosity of the community to really take care of people. And as you said, the pandemic brought a lot of uncertainty, and that's really difficult for nonprofit organizations like us and our fundraising. At the very time where our community needs us the most, the individual donations may not be as readily available. So we're just trying to tell the story of what we do, tell the impact that we can make in someone's life if they just find their way to service with us. And I find that as we tell the stories of the impact we're making, people are willing to support that.
Sure. An effort to be continually improving our efficiency to make the most of what we have is always important. What have been some of the key things that have been improved upon in regard to sustainable results for both the clients we serve and CommQuest itself?
Well, it's an interesting question because, the providers that we have, the counselors, the nurse practitioners, the doctors, they all provide outstanding client care. And so when we look for ways to improve the client experience, it's often in all of the systems around those people that support them. So probably the biggest thing we did this year is we restructured all of our client scheduling. When somebody, especially for that first appointment, decides to go and see a counselor, in the moment that they make the appointment, they're ready.
Right.
And if it takes a day, 2 days, a week to get in, they may lose that feeling that they want to follow through on that. And in fact, for new appointments, we would have a 50 to 60% no-show rate. That's how significant that issue is. And so one of the things we did was we followed national practices to restructure scheduling. So the first thing we did was we made all of our first appointments, those first assessments, walk-in. Same day access. So people can come into any of our offices during, given hours, and they can see a counselor on the spot. When you feel like you want help and you walk in, you get help. It's a huge change. It was a huge change in our processes, and it took a lot as a business to kind of implement. But boy, we really see good results from that. And sort of the second part of that was then going to centralized scheduling for our subsequent follow-up appointments. So a counselor would make their own follow-up appointments with a client. And if, a client canceled while they were in another appointment, the staff would have to wait for the counselor to get out of the appointment and, reschedule. Yeah. Well, that doesn't make any sense with how scarce counselor resources are in this community, in this state, in this country. We need our counselors counseling. And so now our office staff is doing all the scheduling. So those are simple things, but they're really foundational and are a big change for us. And those are the things that help us operate more efficiently, see more people, and help more people.
Absolutely. Let me ask you to close out our discussion today by asking you, not only in terms of CommQuest, which is obviously what we're talking about here today, but for the community at large, what would be your message of hope for the coming year?
Well, the first thing I'd say is that we're here. If life is difficult and you think that people don't understand what you're going through, you just need to know that this team of incredible people do understand. They have the skills and resources to make a difference in your life. They walk the journey with you. They offer the support that can change your life. So the most important message of hope I could offer is that help is available, and you can just reach out to us because hope happens here every single day.
Fantastic message. Thank you so much for coming on the program today and giving everyone this update. We have been speaking to Elaine Russell Reolfi, who is the CEO of CommQuest. Thank you so much, Elaine.
Thank you, Bill. Nice talking to you.
It's nice talking to you. You have been listening to the Hope Discovered podcast by CommQuest. For more information about CommQuest, I would like to direct you to CommQuest.org. And once again, that's CommQuest.org. Thank you very much for listening to the Hope Discovered podcast. Have a great day.